Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about goals. More specifically, how to create goals that actually work. Let's go. So every year at around this time, I usually take several weeks to really define and nail down my goals for the next year. You know, what new habit do I want to create? What big things do I want to accomplish? I take those goals and I write them down on a single page document and then I print it out. And I post it somewhere that I see every day, right? Like your bathroom or next to your closet, somewhere that you're gonna see every day. And you know, just that act in itself of you taking your goals out of your brain and writing them down and just putting them on a piece of paper into reality does wonders just for holding you accountable. Because you see it every day, it's a constant reminder. So just that in itself is super powerful, so don't skip that. But I've been doing this since 2017. And it's become kind of a yearly thing for me, and it's been surprisingly powerful with helping me stay motivated and on track to get the things done I want to get done. So I've learned a lot in how to create a good goal, one that will be more effective and more motivating. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, to kind of share what I've learned with you guys. So with that, let's jump into my 4 most important characteristics of a good goal. Number 1, it needs to be specific. A good goal should be really clear and unambiguous. So for instance, a bad example of this one would be, I want to improve my life next year. Way too broad, way too much room for interpretation, very, very poorly defined. So we should try to narrow it down a little bit, right? There's a lot of ways you can improve your life. Do you want to improve your fitness? Do you want to get better in school? Do you want to get better at having relationships? Narrow it down. So some good examples would be, I want to improve my GPA to 3.5 by the end of next semester. Or I want to run a marathon by the end of this year. Or I want to call an old friend at least once every 2 weeks, right? Much more defined, much less room for interpretation, very specific goals. Number 2, measurable. A good goal must be measurable. You must be able to objectively determine with data that you either accomplished it or you didn't. So a bad example here would be, I want to exercise more this year. You know, it sounds good, but what does more mean? You know, more compared to what? We need to add something measurable, a measurable metric. So a better way to define this goal would be, I want to exercise at least 4 times per week. Much better, right? Very specific, much more measurable. At the end of each week, you'll be able to count up how many times you exercised and determine if you hit your goal for that week. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And if you like this stuff and you want more of it, make sure you check out my book. It's called Becoming an Engineer. You know, I wrote this book for anybody and everybody who's interested in studying engineering or some other STEM discipline. Or if you're already studying and you're currently kind of struggling with it, this book will help you. It is everything that I had to learn the hard way in order to go from a 2.0 all the way to a 3.8 and a master's degree. So make sure you check it out. It'd be a great gift for anybody who's interested in engineering or any other STEM discipline. It's available in paperback and ebook, and I actually just released the audiobook version a few months ago. I'll put links in the description for everything. Thanks for the support. Number 3, attainable. In order for a goal to be motivating, it needs to be reasonably attainable, right? It should be challenging, but it should still be within your ability to accomplish. So a bad example here would be, I want to become the CEO of Apple. You know, it sounds good, but there's just a lot of variables that are out of your control, and it's just not very attainable. So instead of having kind of that unattainable, unrealistic goal, you could kind of break it down into more realistic, attainable chunks, right? Along the same vein, but just much more manageable chunks. So in this case, it would be maybe earn a computer science degree in 5 years. And then the next one would be develop useful software while you're in school. And then the last one would maybe be start a software company based on that software within 1 year of graduation. So again, you want to make sure your goals are actually attainable, right? Now, don't get me wrong. You want them to be challenging. You want them to push you and help you grow into a bigger, better person, but you don't want them to be impossible. You know, they won't be as motivating unless you know deep down that you can actually accomplish them. Number 4, time component. Your goals must include a time component, right? Either a deadline or some other schedule that's included in your goals. If they don't include time as a variable, then they just won't push you like you need them to. So a bad example here would be, I want to lose 10 pounds of body fat. When? When do you want to lose it by? By the end of next month, next year, or the next 5 years? So a better example would be, I want to lose 10 pounds of body fat in the next 60 days. Time component, right? Gives me a deadline that I have to accomplish my goal by. Also, keep in mind that the time component doesn't always have to be a deadline, right? It can also kind of be a reoccurring component that keeps you on track. So for instance, one of the goals that I started in 2019 was to read at least one new book every month. Each month is its own little time component. Another example could be like study for 2 hours at least 5 nights a week. And then one more quick thing on this, if you have a goal that has kind of this periodic kind of every night or every month or every week kind of deal, on your goal sheet, leave little, I don't know if you can see, give yourself little lines, little, spaces where you can physically check mark if you accomplished it. It's a stupid little thing, but there's something about it that is pretty motivating, right? So then you can start to see, what you've done. And then when you start to get going and you've had several in a row, it feels, like you're betraying yourself if you miss one, right? So just trust me. If you're doing one like that, leave some little spaces that you can actually physically check mark. So there you have it. Those are the 4 most important characteristics for a goal to be the most effective. And again, this is kind of based on, what I've learned after doing this for the last 6 years. In the beginning, my goals were super basic, not very well defined, not time-based. And then after doing this, for the last several years, I've learned that, when you add these characteristics in, your goals become much more motivating and kind of interactive in your day. This is nothing new. You guys have probably heard the acronym SMART goals, SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. The only one I left out was relevant because I feel like it just kind of takes care of itself when you're making your own goals. One other thing I want to really touch on is make sure you take your time when you're creating your goal sheet, okay? You're essentially creating, your guiding document for the next year or 2 or 3 years or however long. So it's really important that it is strong, right? And it has all these characteristics that we talked about. Take several weeks. I usually take 2 months to create my goal sheet for the next year because you want it kind of going in the back of your head for a long time so that that each goal is going to continue to motivate you day after day after day. Sometimes what motivates you one day or 1 week kind of disintegrates the next week, right? So that's why it's important to really take your time and to make sure that this goal sheet that you create is super solid. I hope you found that helpful. Again, this has been, just the simple act of defining my goals, writing them down, and posting them somewhere visible. It's been one of the most powerful, kind of unexpectedly powerful things that I've started doing over the last 5-6 years. Just try it and see how it works for you. But that's it for now. So thanks for watching and keep up the good work.